So many turtles, not enough time or money. That's our new theme song. Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan. Thank you for joining me for another video here on the channel. Yes, I've stressed it already a few times. I know we're probably all feeling it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, it's probably a good thing that all these turtles exist. I've also stressed that in the past. I love that we have so many options now, that there's basically Ninja Turtles toys for everybody. But there's just so much stuff out there, it's hard to keep up with it. It can be a little overwhelming. And we just recently had the Target Haul-a-thon event for all of the NECA Toys new product, which included a whole bunch of TMNT toys. But there's one that I want to focus on in today's video. I hope that's okay. I've decided to just pick up one of those and show them here in the video because I thought it looked like a lot of fun and I want to make a video about it, and that's just what I do here. I talk about those things that I like. So we're going to dive in and we're going to check out one of the new TMNT animated 2-packs featuring Tattoo and Worm. Why that set? Out of all the turtle sets that are hitting, why that one? To be honest, it just looks fun. Looks fun. I really like that we're doing this thing with the animated line now, where we're kind of just taking inspiration from the original Ninja Turtles toy line and sort of like bringing it into animation. And while Tattoo, yes, was featured in an original episode, very obscure though, probably a lot of people that don't remember him. Worm, as far as I can tell, never in the original series. He was just original series-ified by NECA and brought into this toy line. I think that's kind of fun. Anyway, let's dive in and check out this 2-pack. All right, so here it is, Tattoo and Worm. I love the size. This is a big, hefty box to fit a big, hefty figure in there. Both of these guys are pretty good size, but very cool looking. Of course, same style box that we've seen most of these 2-packs come in the NECA animated line, which does feature some brand new, amazing artwork on there. Always cool to see this like animated versions of these characters, especially when we've got characters like Worm here, because it's like a new interpretation, right? Taking a character that we have seen in other iterations of the brand, but specifically like the vintage action figure, and doing him up as if he was an animated character in the original series. I think that is so fun. And of course, the sides of the box give you some great photos of the figures within, and then the back of the box there does the same thing, gives you some great shots. You have a cross-cell at the bottom showing some of the other figures. That new Ultimate Shredder is also hitting right now as part of the Target Haul-a-thon thing. So fun stuff in the box, but of course, we got to rip these guys open and get a closer look at them. Let's go ahead and kick things off with Tattoo. So, he's a big, hefty, chunky boy right here. We bring in the tape measure. You can see that the ponytail there basically sends him up to about that 7-inch scale there. So, 6-7-inch scale, that's about what you would expect from these. But, of course, being a sumo type character, he's also big, he's hefty, he's actually got quite a bit of weight to him, like he feels solid, so very cool looking figure. Now, this is one of those obscure characters. I would call Tattoo an obscure character, and that's definitely where we're at with this NECA animated line now. We have gone to the full obscure end where there's characters that even I'm like, wait, who's that again? But Tattoo is one that I know because I know him from the original toy line. But I would say that even that toy is an underappreciated Ninja Turtles figure. You don't see a lot of people talking about Tattoo or remembering Tattoo or him being listed as a favorite. Now, on the original toy, his whole gimmick was that he had a sticker sheet that was tattoos, and you can put them all over the figure. But here, he just has painted on tattoos in various spots. We got a heart on his right thigh, a lightning bolt on his left thigh. You got the big Black Widow spider on his belly. There's a lightning bolt on his shoulder and another heart on his other shoulder. And that is all we get for tattoos. So while 5 tattoos is still a decent amount of tattoos. Like, his whole body's not covered in that. But the figure looks pretty nice. It's funny. He's kind of generic looking in the sense that he's just a sumo. But fun fact, in the animated series, he actually was a mutant. He's not just a sumo guy. In fact, weird enough, he's mutated from a little gerbil, which he comes with. That's a real thing. I think that's such a weird thing because I don't know if that's like always meant to be his story arc or if that's just something they did for the animated series, because he certainly looks different than all the mutants in Ninja Turtles, right? He's not a big, weird looking mutant monster like everybody else. He just looks like a sumo wrestler with some tattoos, but nah, he's mutated from this little gerbil right here, which, there you go. The pre-mutated version comes with tattoo. That's really the only accessory we get, though we do have some swappable hands we'll get to in just a minute. But otherwise, articulation is probably what you would expect. I do really like how the earrings, you can see, they're actually like little loops that are really going through his ears, like, so they kind of move around. That's pretty cool. You can actually articulate the ponytail on top, which is kind of a nice touch. So if there's different ways you want it to look a little windswept or something, you can do that. With a big hunched over back, the head does turn a little funny, but you can kind of turn it left and right. It is ball jointed though, so it kind of moves up and down there. Then, you know, your articulation is what you would expect out of the arms, with the shoulders going up and down. You got the swivels at the biceps there. You do have double joints at the elbows. So it is worth noting that the flesh tone on here is painted on the figure. He's probably also molded in like a flesh tone plastic, but I've already got some paint peeling in the joints. That does seem to be a common thing with a lot of these NECA figures, it feels like, where the joints will kind of peel paint like that. So we do have a bit of that going on there. Swivel at the wrist. You do have the hinge joints there at the wrist as well. You can see the upper torso can turn. You can also turn them at the waist. And then the thighs, he's got the smaller, kind of stubbier legs, but it is ball joints there at the thighs, so the legs can roll around. You do have joints at the knees. Very tight. You can see they got this kneecap kind of sculpted over the bottom portion there. It kind of comes down from the thigh up there and sculpts over. So it does slightly hinder the movement there, but you can still swivel at the thigh, and then you do have the hinge joint at the ankles, as well as the ankles themselves can also rock. He's got those sweet green flip-flops on there. I will say the balance is really nice on this guy. I don't have any issues keeping him standing. You know, for a heavier, hefty figure, I think the balance is really good on this guy. Now, as I mentioned, he does come with a pair of swappable hands. So we do have a bit more of like a gripping hand look if that's something that you want to do. So these more open hands, they can just pop out of socket. We got the usual pegs there so that you can do that. And then we can swap in these more gripping hands here. There we go. That actually worked pretty well. Oh, that's interesting. There's something to watch out for. Luckily that didn't break, but you can see the little bandana tie popped right out. So those twist. That's a cool thing to note. I didn't even realize that before, but as I was applying the pressure to pop the new hand in socket, I popped this little tie right off, but it didn't break. It just popped out of socket there, and that's how I realized that you can turn those. That's actually kind of cool. Yeah, so there you go. So now we got Tattoo with the gripping hands instead. He doesn't have any weapons to hold on to. The vintage toy came with like a staff. That would have been kind of cool to see here, but the only accessory that we got aside from those interchangeable hands is his pre-mutated self. But why don't we go ahead and do this, because I keep talking about it. It's comparison time! So here we have the original Tattoo action figure from Playmates Toys standing alongside this version from NECA. So the one from Playmates Toys had like a yellow skin tone, so I guess that was their way to make him a little bit, you know, more exciting and more not looking like a regular human person. His articulation was really interesting for a Playmates figure, because you can see that we got these hinge joints up here at the shoulders. Look at that. So he is a bit more articulated than what we usually got in the 90s, especially on the Ninja Turtles toy line. Pretty cool stuff. And now I'm just reviewing that figure in front of you guys. But you can see he's got those tattoo stickers all over him. Those really don't have any specific way that they're supposed to be placed. They could be placed anywhere, but kind of shows you the difference here. There's your comparison between the NECA Toys version based on the animation and the original action figure that inspired it. So that's gonna bring us over to Worm, and I love this wonderful weirdo right here. So tape measure, you can see he's about 6 inches tall altogether. He is really unique too because one of his legs is a tentacle. And you can see I was able to stand him so he can be balanced. That might take a little bit of work there so you can find the right way to pose that to balance him. It is a bit of a pliable plastic, and it does look like it's got a bendy wire in it, so that's going to help you too. Actually, I like that quite a bit, and it's really solid feeling. So that should help you find a good pose, which maybe I just messed it up there, but there we go. Okay, it's pretty wild that he's just got like this bendy tentacle. So that might pose a few issues for you, but I don't know. Look, I'm getting it just fine. Oh, as he starts toppling backwards. So there you go. Yep. Thanks for making me a liar, Worm. I love the look of this guy, though. It translates really well into this animated style. Like I said, this is more inspired by an action figure out of the original Ninja Turtles toy line. I do not believe that this guy actually appeared in the cartoon series. So NECA did that thing where they just made their own animated design for him, and it's really good. It actually takes a lot of cues straight from the vintage figure. Like even like the way his little suit is ripped and you've got the like yellow tentacles kind of exposed there. That's the same way the vintage toy looks. So that is really cool. You can see he's got like these little, I guess they're like leeches, right? That are stuck all over his body right there, which is fun. He's got his little backwards cap on his head, his bulging eyes. He is articulated at the mouth, which is really cool. So you can do the opening and closing there. And his articulation all functions exactly as you would expect it to. Pretty tight joints in the knees. The foot's a little loose over here. Like, look at that. Yikes, man. It's not causing me any problems standing him, though, or anything like that, thankfully. It's really just that tentacle over there that's going to cause you the issues. Now, Worm here actually got a lot of fun accessories. So he also does come with a pair of swappable hands. These are the more open hands. I do also love, as he's fallen over there, I do also love how these hands, like you can really get a look at the fingers, how they look like little worms. Like every little finger looks like a worm. So that's actually pretty fun. So if you want to swap out those hands, again, you can just pop those right out of socket. You can put the new ones in its place. It is going to peel some of this blue paint. That's kind of normal when you do the part swapping, especially for the first time on these figures. So that's pretty fun. Now I'm actually going to swap this back because we've got some other accessories that I want to show you. And I do like the accessories for this figure because these accessories come straight from the vintage toy line. He comes with both accessories that his original figure had, or two of the accessories, that being this pipe wrench and this mallet. Now the mallet is designed really well. You can see it's got like worms wrapped all around it and crawling all around, so that is pretty cool. This is just like kind of a regular I mean, look, this is a perfect demonstration of this tentacle. Like, you're really going to have to find the right way to stand him. That tentacle is a bit of a pain in the butt. So the monkey wrench on the original toy actually had like a little porcupine or something hanging onto it. This time, it's just a plain old wrench. So here's the figure with the accessories in his hands. The mallet works great. That pipe wrench, the handle is way too skinny for even the gripping hands there, so it's got a really loose grip, but I do like that mallet. I think that mallet's really cool. But you got some fun little accessories to change his features as well. One of the other things that the original toy did was it had a feature that caused his eyes to pop in and out of his head, and the way they kind of did that on this is you have interchangeable eyeballs. So look at this. You can actually pop these eyes out of socket here, just like that. You can see the shapes are a little bit different so that there's only one correct way to attach the eyes. So we can pop these other ones in, and now you've got the eyes popping out of his head. It's like a classic cartoon. Like, look at the banana-shaped eyes there. It's super fun. And the other thing I love is he's got this other tongue attachment that's got worms on the tongue. So this is kind of neat. The way they worked this is there's a little indent on the bottom that's shaped like the tongue that's sculpted in his mouth. So you can actually just push this right over it and it fits in place. And now you can pose him with little worms coming out of his mouth, which again is a nod to the vintage action figure that came with a bunch of tiny little worms that you can put in his mouth. I think this is a great figure. I love how weird and just wacky the design is on this guy. I love the bright colors. I think they did an awesome job translating this to look like an animated character. And it's comparison time. So that is my vintage worm action figure there, which is super fun. You can see what I'm talking about there. There's this little pipe wrench with this little porcupine guy. There's his mallet. You can see the mouth open and closed on there. And then this is like the little bugging out eyes feature that they had, which is pretty cool. But you can see there's so many similarities between these figures there. They basically just took the design of that vintage toy and simplified it a little bit to give it that more animated look, but they still captured a lot of those details pretty perfectly. I really like this one from NECA. So there you go, my friends. That's my look at Tattoo and Worm, two wonderful weirdos joining the NECA Toys TMNT animated toy line. So these were part of that Target Haul-a-thon event that I talked about already. Surprisingly, my Target actually had plenty of this stuff in stock. They had like one of those aisle displays that was filled with turtle stuff. So that's surprising because in my area, I feel like I never find this stuff. I also know that this particular set was put up for sale by NECA Toys just this past Friday. Honestly, I don't know if by the time this video is live, it's still in stock and able to be ordered. But hopefully, if this is something you want, it won't be too terribly hard to come by. Check those Targets. Maybe that's still hanging around at this point. Maybe. You never know with the retail stuff these days. Regardless, I appreciate you guys joining me for today's video. Please let me know in the comments what you think if you picked this setup or what your favorite Target Haul-a-thon turtle set is. Maybe I'll take a look at some more here on the channel. We will see how things go. The problem is there's just too many toys. And there's so many turtles.